So poops, in Asian society, we are taught not to complain. You shut up, sit up straight and eat your porridge. So it goes as we live out the whole strong men create good times create weak men create tough times. But right now, I just have to complain because this is probably the worst headline I've ever seen in my entire life. Oh, and also, you're not tripping, this is actually a re-upload new version of a video that I posted yesterday. I'll explain more in a little bit. But for now, let's just say that it taught me a lot about kindness and being a public figure. So poops, first of all, congratulations to Siti Zulaika Azmi and congratulations to the Malaysian team for going ahead in the Uber Cup. But what is this headline? It goes, Malaysia whitewash South Africa to book Uber Cup quarter final slot. And I was like, what? So poops, I'm happy for our Malaysian team and everything, but whitewash? Really? I mean, if you knew anything about the history of South Africa, you'd probably know that whitewash is maybe one of the worst possible ways that you could describe this situation. I mean, dude, Sapoop, if you only had basic historical awareness, you would probably know that maybe of all the words you could use to write this article, whitewash is probably one of the very worst. Add on the fact that K. Parkaran, who's listed as an executive editor on FMT, actually also said not just that Malaysia whitewashed South Africa, but also that Malaysia had taken an unassailable 3-0 lead against lowly South Africa. Wow.
How extremely sportsmanlike.
Now, granted, some of you don't agree with me, and
admittedly, I don't read a ton of sports journalism.
You also were kind enough to explain, as in people of all races and religions. Thank you, Saboops, I appreciate it. But just know that apart from me, there are a lot of people just casually noting that this is a problematic usage and that it would not have taken a lot of effort to choose a slightly different wording. You could have literally used defeated, conquered, stop, blah 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 blah. Literally almost anything would have been better compared to whitewash and lowly, bruh. But you know, even at the end of all of this, you can still agree to disagree. I have no problem with that. But why this is the worst headline in Malaysia, it's not just because of that. In my opinion, this is the worst headline in Malaysia because it really shows the very worst in Malaysia. Do you know that right when I posted about it for the first time, then immediately some people just went out screaming, type Malays. I had to correct them, and people actually doubled down, and I had to point out that, what are you on about? K. Parkaran is not Malay, dude. And you even get some idiots like this guy who's casually talking about quota system in the national badminton squad in a situation where there's no actual connection to the content of the article. Well, thanks for sending me all of that nonsense about Randuk, Sapoop, but you're not any better. But yeah, dude.
Back to the original topic of the headline.
I think at the end of the day, it is a headline that could have been written a bit more sensitively. I can accept that maybe some people don't agree with it, but I think this whole episode showcases to me that a lot of people just do not know how to agree to disagree, but instead will go out there and just insult people, try to put you through a grinder, mock you, try to spit you out. Maybe I'm just unlucky or whatever, but honestly, Sapoops, sometimes I'm guilty of that too. In a previous version of this video, I talk about how somebody basically went and harassed me and sent over 40 different comments onto my Facebook profile. Offensive, unacceptable. After doing a whole bunch of things that actually involved writing to the legal department of an F1 team receiving a response. But really, at the core of it, what happened there was that I wasn't able to follow my own advice. Basically, that person, whoever they are, went and reshared my post, which now has about 180 likes. And then basically, I took personal offense and I actually went and left some pretty hurtful words. I'm not proud of those words, but suffice to say, they were more than proportionate compared to what he decided to post about. And then he responded and he went beyond. And we both made police reports. But actually what happened was, the guy was straight up talking about how allegedly I had defamed him, even though technically it was just showcasing his comments. Now the point of this is not to say who's right or who's wrong, or even to defend myself along the way. I don't think that either one of us did great in that whole situation. But anyway, you know who I reached out to? I reached out to Siti Kasim, sent her her a message, and before you could snap your fingers, she gave me a call, and honestly, that was one of the most meaningful 9 minutes in my entire life. She talked about how, as public figures, yes, we get a bunch of people that we could think are dumb or stupid or say things that we don't agree with, but you have to ask yourself the question, like, is it worth it? And as a public figure, are you really that fragile? Because, you know, at some point, people really are going to say whatever they're going to say. And I know that I say a lot of times that, hey, y'all need to be able to accept that people are going to say whatever they're going to say. But in this case, I want to say I'm sorry because I was inconsistent with that principle. I acted out, I tried to dominate, when honestly, I could have just let it pass by, no problems whatsoever. But over and above all that, I thought a lot more about things. And you know, you've heard me say on this channel before that I want to be nice. A lot of you think that I'm nice, but I don't agree that I'm nice. I know that when I speak, if people don't agree with what I say, like, let's not mince words. I can actually be cruel, I can be mean. There are a lot of times that I can shut them out, be arrogant, say things that hurt people. And I don't just say them by accident. Sometimes I say them intentionally because I want to get my point across. But honestly, I thought about everything that happened and about the point of this whole video, which is basically to tell people, hey, this is my opinion on things. You can accept it or you can reject it. But then I was inconsistent with my principles. Then I was seeing an opinion that I didn't like and then going out and pushing against it, insulting a person. Sure, it's never nice to be insulted. I don't think anybody likes that, but I think there's a huge area of growth for me that I want to be accountable for. I think I need to stop being so thin-skinned. Say what you want, Sapoops. Argue, disagree. I shouldn't be the one controlling what you think. If you completely disagree with my assessment of the headline, totally fine, totally cool, let me know. I still can't 100% take that whole Jesus Sermon on the Mount. If somebody slaps you, then turn the other cheek. And I wrote a little bit about it, but you know, I think that there's room for me to grow. I think that in this instance, I failed as a creator, as somebody who moderates the public discussion. And for that, I am sorry, and I hope that you'll let me do better in the future. Having said all that though, guy who insulted me,
Or just my post.
you do you, man. I don't think we're gonna get along, I don't think we're gonna become friends, but I respect your right to your opinion. If you don't like what I said, totally fine. You can totally tune out. It's your prerogative what you want to say. I don't know if we're gonna have an amicable resolution to our conflict.
Miraculously, we did though. Not sure how to explain this to the police, but well, it is what it is.
But yeah, I really do think that this is a sus headline, probably the worst one that I've seen this year. But what do you think? Do you think it's disturbing or do you think that it's actually totally cool, kenchana, no problem? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. That's all I have to say about that, and bye.